Welcome to DAX Machina. Join us as we explore the mysteries of this world. Cryptids, monsters, macabre tales, and horror stories abound. Could they be true? Are monsters real?
Good evening, folks, and thank you for joining us for another edition of DAX Machina, our 199th episode. What does that make the next episode, Robbie?
200?
200 it is. So Saturday night will be our 200th episode. So we're going to be doing a little celebrating on Saturday night. But tonight you're gonna about to put up with me and Robbie Rip Rains, my slightly less handsome brother from another mother. I've got the full beard. He's still trying to get it back.
Yeah. Can't help it. I was born this way.
Got too close to the hedge clippers.
No, I was just trying to trim it up and make it even. And yeah,
Doc's working late in the shop tonight. He might be with us shortly. We don't know. It depends on how quickly he gets his orders processed. But he's got a busy day over the next several days. So hopefully Robbie will be in here with us. I'm sorry, Doc. Hope Doc will be in here with us shortly. And of course, Steve works tonight. But hopefully Steve will be able to join us for the 200th episode. Robbie, how you doing, bud?
Doing good. Doing really good. Had to work today, and I got to work tomorrow. But other than that, I'm doing great because I got the weekend off.
Well, you've got a upcoming very busy schedule coming.
Oh yeah, next weekend's gonna suck.
Are you made aware, or can you talk about it?
Oh yeah, it's out.
You want to tell everybody where you're going to be busier than a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest in about a week?
Yep, because old 45 himself, our 45th president of the United States, is coming to little old Pickens County, South Carolina. And we're a town of about 7, maybe 10,000 people, and they're expecting 30,000 people in our little town next Saturday. So y'all probably won't see me next Saturday night.
This Saturday, yes, but next Saturday, probably not.
Week from this Saturday, probably not going to be there. I'm probably not going to have much time off from Thursday on next week.
I remember when we had a presidential visit here when I was working at the hospital. It was just freaking pandemonium while they were in town. So, and we're a town with much larger infrastructure. I can't imagine the nightmare you guys are going to be going through. So it's, be careful and be safe, man, because it is going to get hairy.
Well, yeah, put that in perspective. We're a 20-man, basically a 20-man police department. There's going to be more Secret Service there than we have actual officers.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. The Secret Service detail will be probably 4 times the size of your department. Of course, they'll probably bring in U.S. Marshals and everybody else too.
Yeah, the sheriff's office is supposed to be giving us 50 to 75 deputies, which is pretty much their entire road patrol unit. So it's going to be a crap show.
Well, we're going to be talking about some interesting stuff tonight. We are going to be talking about adaptive camouflage versus cloaking. About how Bigfoot disappears. And in many cases, when people reported they disappeared right before their eyes. We may have a special guest joining us. I talked to him kind of short notice. I don't want to say who it is until I know whether or not he's going to be able to make it. But I just spoke to him, and he's running a little late. He's not home yet. He's going to try to join us in a little bit. But hopefully he'll be able to join us, and it'll be an awesome time for you guys to get to hear his knowledge on the subject. But we're going to be digging into this by just me and Robbie, and I think we're gonna we might cause a little controversy with some folks that will lean one way or the other, but we're going to dig into this in the most logical fashion as we can and present this information as best as possible, and hopefully that we'll at least give you guys some food for thought. Derek Buckle says, DA, would you explain the difference between the two? Adaptive camouflage is a natural adaptation developed by many animals, including cuttlefish, octopi, squid, Chameleons have adaptive camouflage, but other animals that don't have chromatophores also have developed their own version of adaptive camouflage. For example, polar bears have clear hair shafts. So that's so they can absorb and redirect the light around them. They're not naturally white. Their skin color is actually black, so they can retain heat. But they appear white because their hair shafts are clear. And it's been postulated that Bigfoot's hair shafts are clear in much the same way, because a lot of researchers, including Doug Hychek, a lot of the researchers that work out of Florida, there's a lot of researchers all across the U.S. have reported these clear hair shafts on a lot of these hair samples, which could help to explain why Bigfoot does seem to have the ability to disappear. Now, cloaking, on the other hand, is more have to do with something like if you want to involve the supernatural element or even interdimensional element, it's basically the bending of light. Cloaking would involve the use of some sort of technology or some sort of strange ability that's beyond the normal. It almost dips out into the paranormal range. Whereas the adaptive camouflage is a natural biological reaction to its surroundings. Robbie, you just did a show on adaptive camouflage. You want to shed a little bit more light on that?
Yeah, and you've kind of hit the nail on the head on a lot of it. We only have to look to nature to see this stuff in action. Anyway, you mentioned cuttlefish. Think about all the stingrays that are colored like the sandy bottom of the ocean, and
Or sharks.
Yeah, and the carpet shark is, or more, its technical name, the wobbegong shark. That's that. Some people call it the tassel shark. It's the one that's got the little frills outside of it. It'll blend in perfectly with sand and the coral reef. That's adaptive camouflage. It's adaptive. Great white sharks have adaptive camouflage. If you're below a great white looking up, their underbellies are colored the same as what you're going to see at the skyline. But if you're above them and they're swimming below you, they're going to blend in with what's below. That's an adaptive camouflage. That is just a natural occurrence for things in nature, either to be a predator or to be a prey item. If you're a prey item, you've got to be able to hide from the predators. If you're a predator, you have to be able to ambush your prey. And these things, they happen in nature all the time. I don't. Are you going to show the video or?
I certainly am. I was kind of waiting on that though, but yeah, we can show that anytime you're ready.
Well, you don't have. If you got a time frame, that's fine.
I'll just go ahead and show that right now. Then
there's a video that he's about to show that perfectly demonstrates what we're talking about, and it's just.
Let me share the screen, and you can set the video up because you're the one that showed it to me.
Okay, in this video, put it up and then pause it, DA, and
it's already up and ready to. It's already paused, ready to roll. Here we go.
Look at this picture, everybody, and tell me how many animals you see in this picture. And it's a video, so it's going to start playing. But can anybody see any animals?
2 or 3.
Give everybody a chance to really look at it.
Take a good look at this.
Toshi says 2.
Toshi says 2. Yeah. Now, this is a perfect example of adaptive camouflage. Go ahead and take a look.
Yeah.
Take a good
look. Says she thinks 3.
Okay.
Says 4.
I could see where he could say 5. I could see some partials that I would say, yeah, but that could very well be 1. Robert D says at least 3. Henry White says 4.
AJ said 5.
Derek Buckle says 5.
Robert says at least 3. So, let's say the average is people are saying 4. So, all right, everybody said that. We're gonna go with that. Let's go with the highest number, DA. Let's go with everybody says 7.
Okay. Let's say Lene says 7. All right. We'll say there are 7 sheep in this. Okay, 7 doll sheep. This is the perfect example of adaptive camouflage. Y'all ready for this?
That's a few more than 7. What you think, DA?
Yeah. I'll pop that right back over here, right before there, before they move. Here we go. I think somebody took a shot at one. Did you see that smoke puff on the rocks?
Yep. So
That
DA and I cannot explain that adaptive camouflage any better than that video right there just explained it. That is adaptive camouflage. If anybody has a question about what it is, that's it. Most people, the biggest number was 7 that people said they thought they saw.
But how many was there? Probably 20 or more.
Yeah, it's at least 20, but I think somebody said it was like 30. That's probably, I mean, Toshi says 15 to 20. I mean, it was more than 7.
Way more than 7. And they were in plain sight the whole time. You saw them just get up. Some of them were in the bushes, granted, but some of them were just in plain sight. You don't even see them.
Some of them were in the rocks, just laying there. But they're so well camouflaged, and that they have been designed that way so well you can't see them. I've watched that video probably 20 times, and I know where they're coming from, and I still can't see them even looking at that video.
These are just sheep, folks. These aren't a 7 or 8 foot-pound, 1,000-pound intelligent primate that doesn't want to be found. These are just sheep, and people hunt them all the time. So Dall sheep, DAHL, I believe it is. These are they're indigenous to New Zealand.
Yep. So Toshi said he saw the ones that like hairy rocks, but the rest of them blended in so well. But that's the point. Even you knew what you were looking for, Toshi. If you were just scanning across that,
yeah, or if we had said there, just pop the picture up and said that, tell us what you see in this image, and not said that there were anything about Dall sheep or anything. If we'd have just said, what do you see?
And Robert D got another good point. DA, how many times you been in the woods hunting and shot a deer that you didn't see move before you?
Every deer I've ever gotten, the only reason I saw it was because it moved.
Exactly. That's adaptive camouflage at work.
Miss Naoma's caught on something. She says, reminds her of the final scene in Harry and the Hendersons. The directors had the actors stand perfectly still until it was time to move, and no one saw them. That is adaptive camouflage. And that was just actors in hairy suits. Those suits, that hair, that coloration of the hair blends in perfectly with their surroundings.
So
Derek says, this is a sidebar, but how does adaptive camouflage work in different light conditions and spectrums?
Okay. That's glad you asked that, because that goes back to the clear hair shaft.
Right.
If you know anything about fiber optics and how fiber optics bend, and I don't want to use the word bend, but that's basically what it does. It bends the light around and makes
they absorb and redirect the light around them.
If you're a bow hunter and you've got a fiber optic sight, what a fiber optic sight does, especially for low light conditions, it allows you to see the color of whatever that pin has, whichever pin the red or the green or the yellow, whichever one, it absorbs that light and redirects it to where you're able to see it brighter, even though there's a low light condition. Well, same thing. And say the sun's off to your right and it's shining over your shoulder, and there's a green background behind, let's say a Sasquatch is standing there and it's got a green background behind it, it's going to absorb that light and redirect it, and you're probably going to see more of a greenish color, which is going to blend in. Or same thing. This happened to Johnny and I. We both saw something at the top of a hill one night, it was about dusk, I guess. What time I said it was, DA, it was still daylight, but it was getting close to dusk. We were looking like in an up angle. I was here, Johnny was here. I saw like a darker, almost blackish color, and he saw a light brown color. But it was the way we were looking at it versus which way the light was shining.
Because you're seeing light diffusion on the angle you're looking at it.
And people don't realize how much light plays and stuff. When I went to my tracking training and they put a footprint on the middle of the infield and drew a big circle around it and had us all start at 12 o'clock, the very top of the track, where everybody could see the track. And you start walking around that circle, or clockwise around the circle. You start getting around about 1:30, 2 o'clock ish. The track disappears. Now, you know that track is there. You absolutely know that track is there because you just saw it. And it disappears when you get to that around that time. And it plays with your mind because light is so much more involved in what we see than what we actually think it is. And then you
Only
keep on
seeing
walking.
like less than 10% of the visible light spectrum.
Yeah. And you keep on walking around that circle and you get back around about 5:30, 6 o'clock ish around there, and it starts coming back into play again. And then you get back towards 8ish and it'll disappear again. And you get back around 12 and there it is. It's mind boggling to think about something that you know is there and you're walking around looking at it and you're watching it fade in and out of existence, basically, is what it looks like it's doing.
Right. It was like when we had MK Davis on the phone and he showed us that segment from the, what was it, the Freeman film. You see a dark Sasquatch walk in front of a tree and stop moving, and it just disappeared before your eyes. And it wasn't until it started moving again that we saw it. And it didn't, and I'm not trying to upset anybody. I'm not trying to piss anybody off. It didn't go through a portal. It didn't cloak itself. It stopped moving and started redirecting the light around it. It was picking up the colors around it and it blended in. It's natural adaptive camouflage. These things are very good at it. I'm not saying that I don't believe cloaking is a thing. I'm not saying I don't believe portals are a thing. But I'm saying when you look at things logically from the most believable standpoint, Occam's razor tells you the simplest answer is probably it. The simplest answer and why these things are so hard to spot. We just showed you the video. The simplest answer is adaptive camouflage.
Yep. And I guess until you've experienced something like that, it's kind of hard to, if you had zero knowledge of adaptive camouflage and tracking and how these things work, if you just out walking around the woods and you witness some of this stuff, I can see where sometimes that would take your mind to, oh my God, it must have just disappeared. Because how many times have we said that, we're after somebody. Well, God dang, they must have just disappeared. They just disappeared.
Right.
You use that term so much, but there's always a logical explanation to where that person that you chasing went to. And I think the same holds true here. And like DA said, we're not saying that it's not possible, because very well could be possible. I'm not going to sit here and say that the way I believe is the bottom line, and that's it. And I'm not Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's not the bottom line because I say so. I'm just saying that this is personally how DA and I both have come across this and how we feel about it, and it's our opinion. And I think it holds up. I think it holds up to the evidence. I think it holds up to the process and
the eyewitness statements.
Yeah.
To me, it hits the marks. It hits the marks without having to go to something that's beyond our comprehension to explain. To me, it's makes the most logical sense. I took a report from a Native American guy. He's Cherokee. He lives down outside Miami, Oklahoma. And he said he went out fishing one time and was walking along a trail. He rounded a bend in the trail near the stream, and there was one standing in the middle of the trail. He said it looked at him, put its hand up over its face, and stepped back into the trees and disappeared. I said, do you think it just like turned invisible or disappeared, something like, cloaked or something like that? He goes, no, it just kind of just got swallowed up by its surroundings and it was just gone. He said, I think these things are just masters at blending in.
I totally agree with that. I mean, we've said it before, but Special Forces teaches people to do this all the time.
Almost got a good comment here.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Says I used to teach outdoor search and rescue, and how far you can see somebody laying down is different from almost every compass point. Yeah, I totally agree.
But we teach people in special forces to disappear all day long.
Mm-hmm. I've seen guys do it.
Yeah. If you can go watch any one of these documentaries on the training they do out, was it Fort Benning, where the Army Sniper School is, DA?
I think it's at Benning, yeah.
Yeah,
if I remember off the top of my head.
There's a really good documentary about that sniper training and what they go through. And
I know that's where ranger school's at, and those guys are like forest ninjas.
Yeah.
Those guys will disappear.
Yeah. So I mean, if we can teach a human to do this, what can something that's born into this that has a natural ghillie suit, basically, because it's a biological ghillie suit, because if it's got clear hair shafts like we think it does, it is wearing a living ghillie suit.
And some of these cases, like the missing 411, where they said they had a kid, like a small child, walking on the trail ahead of them. They turned their head, turned back, and the kid's gone. How easy would it be for something like that to put its hand over one of these kids' mouths, hold it up against its chest, and then turn down and crouch down in the bushes?
Very.
I'm not saying that explains every one of them, but it certainly could explain some of them.
And what was that Marty said? I was trying to read what Marty said.
I'm trying to keep up with the comments, but they're going pretty fast.
Yep. Here it is.
Well, there you go.
That's
perfect example. Thanks, Marty.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what we're saying.
Northwoods had a good point too. Said my dad was sitting still in the woods and had someone walk right by him. They didn't know he was there until he said something and scared the crap out of them. I've done that while deer hunting. I mean, I caught a guy poaching on the land on my uncle's land, because I was just sitting absolutely still in the bushes with my rifle, and he was like walking around and looking for deer and stuff. And I waited till he got about 10 yards from me, and I said, you want to? If you don't, I said, if you raise that weapon, I'm going to shoot you. Who are you and what the hell are you doing on this land? Because you're not supposed to be here. And yeah, he didn't. He was a little unnerved that I kind of appeared out of the woods. And I'm no sniper. I never have no claims to be a sniper. I'm just a hillbilly from the sticks that I grew up deer hunting, and I know how to sit still.
It's almost a natural thing that if you're camouflaged up, because when I went through that class, part of what we had to do is the evolutions we went through is you went from like 3 people would go out and the rest of the group would try to track to them. Now you're trying to make enough of a track so they can follow, because it's like, the first couple of days of class. So you're not trying to really get away from them, but you're trying to, make enough to where it's a little bit hard for them, but they can still follow the trail. And then you're supposed to kind of go just a little ways off and sit and see if they can track to you. And I had several guys just walk right past me and go, 10, 15 yards on past me until I went, and they turn around like, oh.
Camouflage. Sometimes if you just sit still, people will walk right by you. Daniel Hoyle had a good question. He says, ever notice you can also see things with adaptive camouflage? Where's the other part of that? Without looking straight at it. Yeah, sometimes you can see it out of your peripheral visions, and then better than you can straight on. But not always. Sometimes they are very, very good at hiding. Nona Boss says the video of the hair analysis is on Matt's channel. Yeah, I need to get you and Matt on sometime to talk about that. I also want to get Doug Highchack back on to talk about that exact thing. Those are clear hair shafts. It just, to me, you couple adaptive camouflage and the clear hair shafts. To me, it just makes the most logical sense. Hey, there we go. There's our surprise guest, folks. Mr. M.K. Davis is in the house. Mr. Davis, how you doing, sir?
He's an important man. He got phone calls.
Excuse me.
Not a problem, sir.
Hello. Hey.
I'll give him some privacy. I'll unmute his mic when he's done talking. Oh, well, he just backed out. Okay. So MK will be back in a few minutes to talk about this. There he is.
All
How you
right.
doing tonight?
I'm not hearing. You have been unmuted. Can y'all hear me?
Yes,
I
sir.
hear you just fine. Can you hear
I'm
us
not hearing
okay?
y'all.
Uh-oh.
Okay, let's see. Mute. Unmute. Test speakers. Test mic. All right. I got something wrong with the speakers.
Are they on? Bear with us here for just a second while we get this figured out. Mr. Davis, can you hear us?
Can't hear y'all.
Um, let me send him a message.
I heard something.
I sent you a message. Hopefully he gets that.
Communications. Speakers, real tech, high definition.
Hopefully it's just his setting. There we
Gotcha.
go.
Yeah.
Hey.
Outstanding.
All right.
Yeah, we could hear you just fine. We just was trying to figure out what was going on. Have you seen the video of the doll sheep from New Zealand?
No, I can't say that I have.
How about I show this video real quick, because we were talking about natural adaptive camouflage. I'll show this video again real quick, kind of get a recap and let you take a look at it, and then we'll kind of jump into adaptive camouflage from there.
All right.
Let me get that set up. Take me just a second. All right, here we go. Ready, Mr. Davis?
Yeah.
Now, you look in the foreground, you can see a few of these sheep, but you don't really see all of them until they move.
Oh, wow. Yes. I see what you're talking about.
To me, that's just a perfect example of natural adaptive camouflage.
And Mr.
Well,
Davis,
I mean, go ahead.
I was just gonna say we kind of paused that video and asked the chat to say how many animals. I think the highest number we got was what, 7, DA?
There's probably close to 30 that pop up and go running.
So that's a perfect example of adaptive camouflage at work.
Where would those sheep be if they couldn't do that?
Yeah, they'd be
On
easy
somebody's
pickings.
plate.
Yeah, they would be. It would be a lot lower numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of important. When I was studying the Patterson film for the first time, and I noticed that there seemed to be some effects on its personal body as it moved past certain objects. It kind of caught my eye, but I didn't realize it was as profound as it was. And then, now I've got some of the stabilizations done, and then the enhancements and all, and you realize that it's flooding across her body with light. I can give you an example of how that happens in the natural world, if I can find it here. Hold on just a minute here. Let's see. I'll have to find it. There we go.
Well, last time we had you on, you showed that excerpt from the was it the Freeman footage, where the black Sasquatch stops in front of the tree and just kind of winks out.
Right, right.
To me, that's just another great example. It's just a natural adaptation. And I know this is probably not what some people in the field want to hear. I don't think it's a cloaking ability, and I don't think it's leaving the dimension. I think it just has a brilliant natural adaptation to blend into its surroundings.
Yep. I mean, just like those sheep we just saw.
Mm-hmm. And had somebody not fired a shot at that rock, those sheep might have just sat there, invisible to the naked eye for God knows how long.
Yeah, in that particular clip from the Freeman film, it stops and stares at Freeman.
Yeah,
it's making its getaway, and he stops and stares back at him, and Freeman loses sight of him. He goes, "Oh Jesus!" And he takes the camera down. He's trying to find him with his his eye, and then when it takes off walking again, suddenly you can see it.
Do you still have that clip?
I do have it.
I would love to show that clip again.
Sure.
To me, it's just such a great, obvious example of these things' natural blending abilities.
Absolutely. I was trying to find the one that I had some with iridescence in them, but let me go to that one.
Okay, no problem.
Let's see. I think I have it on H drive. Hold on. I apologize for not getting in here. It just took me that long to get. If y'all were walking a mile in my shoes the last couple of days, you yeah, I'm not laughing. But
we're just happy to this at all. We appreciate you joining us, sir.
Yeah.
It was it's been kind of rough. Yesterday I was in Jackson all day with my niece. She was in a wreck her last day of college and broke her arm in 4 places. And they had to go in there and set it and put plates in it and screws. And
she okay?
Yeah, she's back home. Hold on here. I think it's going to be a different drive. I gave this part while I was in Hanover, Oklahoma, and that's why it's under this. And I've given quite a few there, and you got to just.
I've yet to make it to Hanover. I really want to go there.
Yeah, it's a little town that's way out middle of boondocks there. There's a lot of Bigfoot interest in it. Here, I found it here. Okay, Freeman subject.
Good. I've been wanting to see this video again since he showed it to us last time.
Bigfoot vanishes. Hold on now. Let me get to the sharing.
It's down before.
I understand. I haven't seen this, so it looks a little different.
Yeah, this is we platforms.
Okay. Entire screen. Okay, click on that. Share. All right. Now I've got it. Now I'm going to go back over here and get that. Here we go.
Oh, there you go. Jesus.
Where is he? Yeah.
he can't see him, and we can't hear. But watch. Well, you'll see him when he takes back off.
Yep. He stopped in front of that tree and was just gone.
Yeah, just as soon as he stopped, he.
Could you play that again?
Yeah, I'll play it again.
Oh, there he goes.
I just get chills when I watch this video.
Jesus.
This is amazing.
Yeah, he was there the whole time. It was as soon as he stopped moving, he just like smoke.
That's why they said the Native Americans said back away. He said speak to them in the language that you know and back away. Just walk straight backwards and leave the area.
Yeah.
Because if you try to pursue, you may just walk right into that thing's arms.
You might be the next missing 411.
Yep.
Right. Here's a still. Can y'all pick him out in that still?
Not in the slightest.
Nope.
That's
But as we can see from the video, he was there, plain as day.
he was there.
He was there the whole time.
He stopped and stared at him, and I know that thing was contemplating doing more, but changed his mind and walked on.
If Freeman had gotten much closer, I bet it would have changed its mind on how it was going to approach that.
Well, Freeman was talking to himself, and
Yeah.
that had the same effect as speak to it in the language you know. The reason why is because it confuses the Bigfoot. It makes them think that there's someone else with you, and it don't know where that someone is or what they're carrying. So it decided to just go on, but it thought about maybe, some other, another eventful outcome. It actually thought about it, but it didn't. It decided to move on, and the rest is history.
No kidding. I think that's essentially smoking gun. I mean, it just shows you that how they blended into their surroundings. How it right before your eyes it seemed to disappear, which to me doesn't invalidate people saying that they cloaked or they went through a portal. It just explains it more logically.
Yeah.
That it does. I have some Bigfoot hair samples, microscopic. Let's see here. Now this right here, you'll see the Patterson subject's entire back change as she walks past one of those. I think those are alder trees, but I don't know my trees that well. Well, let me see what. No. Okay, here we go. I don't know what all I've done here. There we go. Watch this. Can you see it? Are you there?
Yep.
Yeah. Watch as it moves toward that tree and watch it brighten up the entire back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's picking up the color.
See it darken back down?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, honestly, it looks like it almost changes into the same color as the leaves behind it.
Right.
Yeah, well, the thing about it is, if it's were to stop suddenly in front of you, like the Freeman subject did, you might lose sight of this one, even though it kept moving. So it's easy to follow a moving target.
You know,
But
with the Patty film, I've long felt that she was intentionally keeping their attention on her.
well, I probably so. I don't know for sure what her intentions were, but yeah, certainly that's a possibility. I mean, they don't often
Often,
they don't
wondered if she wasn't hiding children or something.
they don't just saunter out in the broad daylight like that in front of you and just you know give you a bird's eye view of them. For they're doing something different.
Right.
Here's some of the Bigfoot hairs. Look at those.
Yeah, that is incredible.
You can see
Valerie,
how
the super
how
chat.
that light would move about, across the back like
Yeah.
that, with hair like that. Different colors,
Mhm.
but they're all translucent. Some of them are completely clear. You see where that light has burst out of that hair
Mhm.
right there. This is like a
Yep.
it's almost like a fiber, the
Yeah.
optical fiber.
Fiber optics.
Yeah. Some of it changes as the shaft goes down. It changes to different uh, configurations and stuff. Look at that right there. See the scales,
Mhm.
but it's silvery right here, dark right here. The way it both reflects and refracts. Here's a clear one right here.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And these are just perfect examples of adaptive camouflage.
Marty said that's exactly what their hair samples look like too.
It gives you a little better understanding of the why, how they're able to pull off some of the things they are. It's and I'm not saying that it explains everything, but you can see right here different hairs, different types of hair. This probably came off the rear end, I figure, because it's looks like it's been sat on and rolled up.
Yeah. A little matted.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's something.
Did this hair you found have an odor to it?
It did. Yeah.
What did it smell like?
Yeah, it wasn't all that smelly, but I mean, I could smell it. Yeah, it kind of rank. If it's on the rear end, it, it's
Yeah.
a it's a receptacle.
It's gonna have its own
receptacle
kind of
for
aroma.
something. Yeah, there's another. I call that translucence, but there's another type of optical effect called iridescence.
Mhm.
Ever heard of that?
Yep.
Yes.
And birds have that a lot. I have some good pictures of them if I can find them. Best thing I can do is I uploaded one to Facebook here recently. Let me see if I can just go there and get it. Let's see. All right. Let me go back down here until it's back a little ways, but Should be able to rolling up here in a minute. Okay. Here's iridescence. See this bird up here at the
We just lost him.
Oh, there he is.
yeah. Now look at him when he turns into the sun, and the golden sun floods.
I don't think he knew he went off.
Am I off?
We lost you for a couple seconds.
Am I back?
Yep.
Yeah, you're right.
Gotcha.
Great. This is a crackle that they call a crackle. Solid black. Nothing's really truly black in nature. It's actually kind of a deep blue. When it turns into the sun, look what happens.
Mm-hmm.
That's iridescence. And it's interesting stuff because it serves the same purpose for this bird. You know, the stuff that's around him will flood the feathers and cause him to become similar.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's if you could invent, you know, hunting clothes that would do that, you would make $1 million.
Yeah.
How about that? Let me see if I can. There's another one example. If I can find it here, I won't have to look it up. Well, I figured it would be here where the hummingbirds were. I take a lot of pictures. I hope I'm not boring you too much here.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Let me go back down and see if I can find some more hummingbird pictures here. Maybe there's something there. That's the same motion.
Well, Nay says some of her chickens do the same thing with that iridescence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a ruby-throated hummingbird. There's one right there. See him?
Yep.
That's the sun. Normally, you don't see that.
Yeah.
Let's see. It's got to be down below that. Here's some more. Actually, watch this. Watch this. Oh, it went out. It went away. Let's see what happens. There it comes. See, it's not showing it up. Look at it turn red when he just changes the angle toward the light.
Yep.
His throat. And that's exactly what I was talking about. That camo and cloaking. And I understand that when they talk about cloaking, they're talking about something actually becoming invisible.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to ask yourself, really, what is invisible? I mean, what does it mean?
Just means you're unable to see it.
Yeah, right. It's if it can be, you can be invisible in any number of ways. You even to the point of taking advantage of somebody's poor eyesight.
Mm-hmm.
It's watching nature. You usually can get your explanation. Now, nature is far more complicated than people realize too.
I say that all the time. All you got to do is look look at nature, for, like the clear hair follicles, the adaptive camouflage, the backtracking. All this stuff is stuff that happens in nature as it is. We don't have to go throwing these far fetched hypotheses on this. We just have to look what's already occurring in nature naturally to explain these things.
Right, right. Now, that's not that I'm not open minded about science. You
Right.
know, things like they talk about dimensions and stuff. And I know that there probably are. Mathematically, it says that there are
Mhm.
at least 11 dimensions. But what is a dimension? You know, to get it properly explained where you can understand it, you know, it's vibrations.
Well, the human eye can only see what is less than 10% of the visible light spectrum. How do we know it's just not existing at wavelengths we can't see?
Right, and the idea that some people, you know, seize upon that to try to explain the unexplainable, or what seems to be unexplainable to them.
Right.
Uh, uh, it seems convenient, but
Well, what is the old adage that any technology sufficiently advanced appears as magic to those who don't understand it?
Yep.
right, exactly. It's you can affect the way light uh, uh, operates, wavelengths, particles with a vibration.
Mhm.
You know, you can affect the way that light appears. You can scatter it. Because it's even though it's so minuscule that it hardly has any mass, it does have some mass.
Right.
You know, and it travels in waves of particles, and you can force it into move. And Einstein said that, you know, when look at an eclipse, you can see what's behind the the eclipse because it bent that light around. You know, it followed around a curve pattern. The heavy gravity, the real heavy
Right.
gravity. You know, so it's the heavier gravity is, the more it can bend it. And so all of those have merit.
Right.
But I don't know that it explains Bigfoot. I think that to me, uh, it looks like Bigfoot is well aware of what its capabilities are.
Mhm.
I'll call him back here. It is if you know your capabilities, you know, you kind of know how to use them. What if Bigfoot could do like some animals and make their hair stand up? You know, just with skin. You know,
Like
like
the
the hair
hackles on a dog's back.
right or the hair stood up on the back of my neck. Some people say that when they get frightened or
Yeah.
whatever.
What they call
Uh,
goose flesh.
what if that hair on the back of your neck was attached to translucent hairs,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden you do like that ruby throated hummingbird? You, you turn bright red, or you turn green, or you know, like the color of the bushes around you. You know, that it all seems plausible to me. You know,
Mhm.
so I just think that that not finding Bigfoot is largely due to that. You know, if I could get a Bigfoot to sit there and I say move your arm in front of that tree, and I could watch his arm change tones, like that hummingbird did for me.
Mhm.
Then I would say, you know, well, hey, that's pretty much proved. Uh, but Bigfoot is usually you only get a glimpse and he's turning around to go. You know, you don't get that good a chance.
Right.
But I think that it's going to be something like that, though, or maybe that grackle, you know, with the
Artie
sun.
from the Notibos Continuum wanted to know what your thoughts are if Sasquatch is colorblind.
Colorblind? That I wouldn't know. I wouldn't think so. You know, I don't know that for sure. But you have to
Are
give a
primates
test.
colorblind?
You
Are
have to give a
gorillas and chimps
test.
colorblind?
I'm not really sure. I think the higher primates have everything we have.
I think they do too.
Yeah.
I know that they sweat. I asked the folks down at the primate center if gorillas sweat because I was interested because I saw on Patty she had some shiny skin, you know, that looked oily, reflective.
Mhm.
I was just curious. Uh, that's way back in the early days of my study of the Patterson film. You try to get as much information as you can. I didn't know that I was carrying water for any particular uh, view of whether it was a gorilla or whatever at that time, but I thought it was interesting to know that it did sweat like a human being.
Mhm. Daniel Hoyle said, question kind of like the hair on your biceps if it was on a bigger scale.
About what?
It was talking about the way that the hair changes color.
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe. Uh, you know, our hair is not translucent, um, but if you see the birds there, the iridescence, that's a real good example of what can be done with light, which by just changing an angle or fluffing up a feather or your hair, raising your hair, or moving around until if you know that it's doing it, then you can take advantage and manipulate it. You know, it's not like the Bigfoot doesn't know. I'm sure he does know. I'm sure that way when that Bigfoot stopped and stared at a Freeman, I'm sure it knew that it would blend in. You know,
I think
uh,
that's something they learn from the time they're toddlers. They're
yeah,
very early age. They're learning how to use their environment and their natural abilities to their advantage.
I couldn't see that. I couldn't see him not doing it. You know, something that effective. Uh, and I know that it really it scared old Freeman because he took that camera down and tried to see it with his eye. Uh, he thought it walked off the face of the earth. He said, Jesus,
Yeah.
where? uh, well, he's lucky that he came out of that encounter. I think personally,
I agree. I think
that
if he'd have went chasing after it, it probably would have been found footage.
it'd have been a mistake, a bad mistake. Especially after finding out that it had a small one. You know, this I don't know whether this was male or female, but it had a small one that it picked up.
Well, look how much more dangerous bears are when they're young or around.
Yeah, if you
Yep.
try to chase it with the small one there, I don't think you're going to make it far.
No, I
I,
would agree.
I think it was kind of giving him a little warning there. You know, stopping and staring at it. Uh, that's all of that stuff is not. It's not hooey. You know, it's in the natural scheme of things.
Right.
Instincts of parents and to protect your young, that type of thing is all quite natural.
Oh, it's like when you were at Willow Creek and you rounded that bend and came face to face with that bear. If that bear had the young with it, probably would have been a different story.
It'd have been the end of me. But I'll tell you what, it would have had to first go through a plastic PVC pipe. I would have been whirling that thing, and
I
then
don't blame you.
it would have had to dig its way through the backpack because I was going to turn to go the other way. It was going to have to go at me through the back. But nevertheless, I realized how fortunate I was because, it went the other way, was a boar.
Hmm.
You know, it was looking for the little ones, like, it eats them. It'll catch a little one and eat him. It wasn't trying to.
Uh, Poncho Zor said, "Has there been any multicolor Sasquatch reports?"
Oh yeah, sure have. They had one back in the day. They had one that had a blonde mane around the outside. It was well known uh, back up in the Great Pacific Northwest. Very famous accounts. There's been the white ones, and there's been the mixed colors, black and brown. I guess they kind of come in different. You saw those hairs. They look like they could be anything.
Yeah.
Just a little inclination, with the DNA, and it could be whatever color.
I guess that comes down to where you're standing and what kind of background they were behind as to what color they were going to appear to you.
Right, exactly. You don't really know if that's the true color either. It's just be something. You see how hard the problem is to solve.
Oh yeah, and I before you got on, I told the story. Johnny and I got is on the podcast or my podcast with me. We saw something, pretty sure what we saw, but we were both looking up the hill, and like I was over here and he was over here. We were both looking at different angles, and I saw one color and he saw another color, looking at the exact same thing.
Yeah, well,
I saw
not surprising.
I saw like a dark black, almost like a smoke black color, and he saw more of a blondish brown color, and we were looking at the exact same thing. We were just looking at different angles.
It says the one she saw in Virginia was dark brown with a shimmer of metallic on the shoulder when the sun hit it.
Well, that's a negative when someone goes to interview you, for two different witnesses of the same event, and they don't agree. But in the case of a Bigfoot, it should be understood that it may very well be what they saw, even though it's different. It don't mean that that they were both couldn't get their story together. It just meant that they saw two different colors on the same individual, and that's wild.
I was going to ask you something that's completely slipped my mind. Now, one of the things, basically the whole premise behind the show tonight was talk about this natural adaptations. Do you think that, as far as there's a lot of debate in the Bigfoot community about, especially in what people refer to as the woo, when they start talking about cloaking or going into dimensions and things like that. Do you think that the adaptive camouflage is a far more likely explanation, or do you think it could be something more out there?
Well, I think it is a reasonable explanation because you can actually see examples of it.
Mm-hmm.
When something is cloaked, in other words, it's like Predator, the movie Predator. You see kind of
That shimmering effect,
a distorted type of. I'm open minded. And I've got to, I believe that there's more to the world than meets the eye. I'm afraid of convenient explanations.
right?
That's the only thing. Convenience. People reach out and struggle to get an explanation for seeing the bizarre or seeing something that's absurd in the real world, and so if they hear something like that, then they say, well, there it is. There's my explanation, but not usually not necessarily so. I just kind of withhold judgment on it, and let's see what can, as time goes by and technology advances and people's knowledge of things go up provably. Let's see where that carries you in the dimension thing. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I'm certainly open to it, but I'm not that. I'm a little hesitant to say that is it, and it's like I said, some of the more natural things also fit those very same effects. So that's it. All it's going to be interesting to see how the Bigfoot pursuit works out. What's going to be the key that unlocks the door.
Right. Go ahead, Rob.
I was just gonna say, and it could be a mix of everything we're talking about. I mean, there could be some form of bending the light spectrum that we're, like we talked about earlier, that we don't see all the full spectrum of light. It may be something we just don't understand yet, and that may, to us, like we talked about, anything that's above what we understand seems like magic, or seems like whatever else. It just may be something we don't understand yet because we haven't got one to study.
Right.
Well, if you want to get one to study, maybe you have to throw a little bit of luck in there with it, as well. Even then, it may be so complex. Bigfoot's not going to tell you that it has raised its hair, made its. You'll have to, if you got a Bigfoot to study. You would have to. It would have to be living to do all those things for you, and cooperative, and then I don't know. You got an awful lot of skepticism, and it's a very high bar for proving. But I ain't saying it can't be done, because it certainly can be done. It's if it's a part of creation, it can be done.
I agree.
Yeah, I firmly believe that flesh and blood, and it's the things that it does. Like we said earlier, you can see these examples in nature, just like the video of the sheep we played. But I know that there's things out there that I don't understand. So that's why, like you said, Mr. Davis, I'm open-minded about it. It could be something else. I'm evidence-based. I like to go where the evidence takes me. And that's just where the evidence takes me, is you can see evidence of backtracking from other animals in nature. You can see evidence of adaptive camouflage in nature from other animals. When you start looking at all this other stuff, and then you start looking at what we've seen, just like the video you showed us, all of it just starts stacking up and making sense, and saying, okay, this is just a creature that is very good at using its surroundings, and it's what it was born with.
Okay, I think I lost you. I'm going to stop sharing and see if that straightens it out here.
Mike A, thanks for the super chat. He said, as far as disappearing prints in the snow, what if the prints disappear 100 feet from a tree line with a snow load that caught a big gust of wind? Again, backtracking is a thing. I mean, Robbie's a trained tracker. It is entirely possible to backtrack on your tracks. Our special forces are taught to do it. Bears have done it to hunters. There's lots of examples of things backtracking on their own tracks.
I'll tell you something too that I believe is an actuality. I think that Bigfoot is aware that if he raises up on the balls of his feet, then he leaves a very bear-like print. And I think that if he has time, he will make his getaway on the balls of his feet
And
and
confuse tracks.
confuse anybody coming along. You have to look carefully, make sure that there's claw marks on there. If there's no claw marks on there, then maybe it may be a candidate for that. I've seen it. It's in the Patterson film. I've seen the half tracks in the Patterson. So you raise up on there like that. You know the whole front. Let's see. If you picture the whole foot,
Mhm.
like that. This, but you can see the prints, claw marks.
Right.
See,
Exactly.
definitely a bear, but it would be it or kind of an easy thing for a Bigfoot to do if he had the time to do it. If he wasn't just absolutely pushed out. This is a bear from around here. This is a pretty good sized print that thing is. It's straight. I took
Good
that
size.
in the swamps. It went down deep, and it was hard to cast it because the ground dried and cracked. There was mud down in the bottom of a ditch, and it dried and cracked, and it made it difficult. It's we're getting to where we have a good many bears now, and I know up in there in Michigan, y'all got plenty of them. Down here in the South, they were gone for a long time, and they're starting to reappear. Bears and Bigfoot seem to like the same things, So if the bears are coming back, just look at these tracks and make sure they got claw marks.
Right.
The area where I found this had broken trees. I think we counted 167 broken limbs. And there was no claw marks on any of the limbs. It was the whole area was just a huge amount of activity. I took Igor Burtsev out there, and I asked him. I said, "Igor, what did this?" And he said, "Leshi," which is their word for an almasty or a Bigfoot. Sasquatch.
Yeah.
And I believe that he's seen it enough to know.
Again, I'm drawing a blank here. I was gonna say something. I was looking for something at the same time while I was talking. Yeah, Werewolf 674 says brown bear will circle on you. By the time you notice it's curving, it's too late. It's amazing how intelligent some of these animals really are.
A cat will too. A cat will circle on you.
Mm-hmm.
Come in behind. They'll attack from behind. That's what they won't face you front ways. A cat. They'll come in from behind. They'll try to hit you hard enough to break your neck.
Yeah.
And then grab your throat. But it's I had one circle behind me one time, and I was by myself, and I heard it first, and it screamed, and I didn't see it, but I just heard it. I went up there, and I saw its track had crossed out ahead of me, and it scared me. And I turned around and walked back to where I was, and that its track was there too. It came right around behind me while I was looking down at this track. It had come around behind me and made a dash across the creek behind me. You know, just unseen, unheard.
So
But
if these things, their intention was to get us, it wouldn't be too terribly hard to do.
no, they're Bigfoot. They're not really known for getting people, although David Pilates' books are interesting. They make people wonder. But that what they're known for is more than anything is trickery. I mean, they love to pull a prank or a joke or scare you or something. I've seen them, dangle stuff in front of a camera, just to see. And you never get sight of the Bigfoot, but something's holding that.
Right.
Uh, just messing, like messing with Sasquatch, but the other way around. But if they got in a bad way, or hungry or whatever, I don't doubt that it couldn't turn bad. I think that Freeman footage could have turned bad for sure.
Oh, I think very easily. If he'd have gotten much closer, I think it probably would have ended badly.
He was just lucky.
Very. And that Freeman footage to me is just it's such a great example. I mean, just absolutely shows you, as soon as they decide to go still, there that adaptation kicks in and they become impossible to see.
If you thought it was a suit,
Got me back now, Dave? Okay, good.
Yeah.
in the Freeman footage, if you thought it was a suit, how would you make it do what that one does?
It would be impossible. Not with our current tech level, I don't think.
I wouldn't think so either. I got a friend that he's made some regular visits into that Mill Creek watershed.
Mhm.
And he talked to people. They still see him up in there. So it wasn't just Freeman. They keep people out, except I think for a few days out of the year. They let hunters come in, they draw names. The reason why is because they get their drinking water. For Walla Walla, Washington, gets its drinking water from there, so they keep people out. And the Bigfoot are in there for obvious reasons. This thing fully anticipated having a great day with no one bothering it.
Yeah.
But Freeman worked for the Forestry Service. And so at the time, so he had permission to be in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I see the whole thing. The thing's frustrated with.
Robert D said, "MK, have you had a talk with Paul yet on his father's work?"
You talking about Paul Freeman?
Yeah.
I've talked to Michael. I haven't talked to anyone else. Is that who he's talking about?
Maybe.
The Freeman footage is sort of like the Patterson footage. It's not professional. It wasn't professionally made, and he had a lot of flack about it. And people look at that. The first thought is that someone's pulling a prank. This can't be real. It's not until you look at the finer points that you begin to realize, that this is probably couldn't be fake, rather than could be real. So Paul Freeman deserved to have. He passed away without having proper due credit.
Yeah.
For having done such a thing.
That's such a great piece of footage, even if it is, like you said, not professionally shot. It's still, to me, it's just a fantastic piece of footage, and for how it was shot, it's still remarkably clear.
Yeah, well, it's the technology of the day, that was available to the average person.
Mhm.
There were better cameras, but you had to pay thousands of dollars for them.
Right.
They could sit on your shoulder like this. So he had what was available for the day, and he did pretty good with it. He had special permission to be in a place that was a really good place. It all worked out. The only thing that didn't work out was that there's a little bit of pain that goes with not being believed. People say, well, I don't care if you believe or not. This, I saw it. But down deep, you've got to care some, or you wouldn't be showing it.
Right.
You've got to care some that you've done something that very few people have ever accomplished or done.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, you, and I just wish that that he had gotten a little more scrutiny. A little more. I don't think it was. The Patterson film was the same way. It wasn't given enough attention, especially since it wasn't in its best form.
Right.
In that raggedy, that shaky thing that was dark, and it just wasn't given enough scientific scrutiny. Hello, Doc.
Hello, cousin. How you doing?
I'm all right. Good to see you.
You as well.
Hey, Doc, how you doing?
Man, I feel like my ass is dragging my tracks out, son. I am tired.
Well, glad you could make it in with us, Doc.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I knocked off work after about 12 hours. So, yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr. MK. I apologize. I didn't mean to horn in on what y'all was talking about.
That's okay. We were talking about the Freeman footage, and some of the things that over time, when scrutiny, good scrutiny came for that film, and it became more obvious that it wasn't just a bunch of hooey. That Paul Freeman passes away without getting due credit for it. It's a shame. And it's a little bit painful not to be believed. We were talking about that. He may say he didn't care, but if he didn't care, he would have never shown it to anybody.
Right.
He must have cared some. And the same with the other examples, film, the Patterson film, and others even, that people really bust their butts to get it, and they think, well, Patterson thought he had the final word. He had no idea that people would reject his film. And it was a shocker to him. That people just rejected it outright.
Yeah.
And so it took time for technology to catch up, and then the film got proper scrutiny, and then it passes everything. So he's dead. Didn't do him any good, but it does all of us some good.
Right. How do you think the Freeman film stacks up against the Patterson film?
Not as good, certainly. But what I think that you see there is two different looking Bigfoot, witches or Sasquatch, and I call the Freeman footage, I call it a true giant. And if what what I've been told by Native Americans about the Bluff Creek area is that what's up there is largely a hybrid. They've over the many years have managed to grab women and impregnate them, even though they're dissimilar. They're similar enough, and that the offspring become a kind of a odd looking, not where a true giant would look like the Freeman Bigfoot, with completely covered in hair. You look at Patty; she's kind of raggedy looking. Some of the hair is missing. It's scant in places and other places thick. That type of thing. So I've come to believe that they're probably correct about that. That you're looking at two different, not completely, totally different, but one that's more of a hybrid, and the other one is more of the actual original, what was living here, before people moved in on it.
Right.
So if you watch, pay attention to some of the stories, like the Albert Osman story.
Mm-hmm.
He talked about how they argued over him. It was very. He was describing something like Freeman, but if they had a child by a modern man, by a modern human, what they would have had as an offspring, if an offspring was even possible, would have been something like Patty.
Yeah.
Which is that's what the Native Americans told me, that they were more human, modern human than the everywhere else you go. The reason why they said that is because at one time there were 10,000 Chinese in that area. Not a lot of people know that, but they were in there living, hydraulic mining gold. And when Chinese lost a female, lost their woman, don't know where she went. Well, they didn't run and get the sheriff. It was the 1840s.
Yeah.
So you see why in that area there might be a little cluster of hybrids.
Yeah.
But there again, that's all speculation. But that's just kind of where I'm leaning. I think I'd rather run into a Patty than I would a Freeman. I wouldn't want to run into a Freeman at all.
Do you think the Freeman type might be closer to what they refer to as a Gugway?
I don't know what a Gugway is.
Or maybe a Genosqua.
Haven't heard that name. This is free. This is Freeman. She's got kind of an hourglass.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Patty.
That's a big youngin', Doc.
There's a big youngin'.
You see the difference. Hold it here.
Yeah. The Freedman almost has like a definitive arch there, Mr. MK.
They have a hourglass shape and they have splayed toes.
Mm-hmm.
Is that more of what Dr. Meldrum refers to as the mid-tarsal break?
Well, I don't know. I'm not experienced in that field or anything. These are observations that I've made, that if you're chasing one that leaves a track like this, you better ask yourself why. Because you could get yourself in a world of trouble with this one. This one right here is just going to try to outwalk you or outrun you. But this one right here may want you for lunch. It pays to know.
Yeah.
I'd just be a snack.
Just a
we-
little snack.
I'd be in a moose bouche.
You're like a tater tot.
That's right.
I'm afraid they might start snacking before they get through killing me.
Doc will be one of those whores divorce.
Where's the ovaries? I tell you what, you'd pray for a quick death if that happened, Mr. MK. That's for sure.
Yeah. Once they caught me.
The ones that the type of that I was referring to as the gugway have been described having a more almost like a snout like a mandrill.
Okay, that one I'm not familiar with. I don't know too much about that one. I've heard people describe what they call a prognathous face. Got kind of out like that. A mandrill's got a really big snout.
The gugway origin comes from Micmac legends. The original Micmac word was cookway, which translates as face eater.
Oh, wow. Now, see, that's something that I don't know much about there.
Have you seen the movie? Robbie, what was the name of that movie?
Primal. Or
Primal
Rage.
Rage.
Yeah, Primal Rage.
I have not seen that movie.
That it's a great movie, but two, the way they portray the creature in that is very much the way descriptions of the gugway are. Has the pronounced canines and a bigger snout.
And way aggressive too.
Yeah, wicked aggressive.
Extremely.
Yeah, way aggressive.
Well, aggression is if you're afraid of aggression, you're probably not going to discover Bigfoot. But there again, you probably keep your health.
Probably. Louis Moriega says it's just like when I went to the Chinese town over here in LA and they had the 150th anniversary of the Transcontinental Railroad, and I talked to one of the old guys and said that they were being attacked at night and the women were being taken away.
There you go with the women thing again. They're not exactly us, but they're close enough that 1 out of 50 or 1 out of 100 may be able to get pregnant. Which is it's just long shot stuff because the DNA are not exactly lined up. They're dissimilar. But when you do get a hybrid, it can turn around and breed back to a human and much easier. So you end up with a hodgepodge. I remember reading about a bear hunter that he saw a group of them and he put his scope on them so that he could see them better. And he said that some of them were covered in hair and others were naked as us, just no hair coverage at all. And they were all together.
Wonder how they would survive a winter.
That I don't know. That's my daughter. Where are we at on time? 9:34.
Yeah, if you need to go, sir, that's perfectly fine. I know you're a busy guy.
Yeah, I've been kind of like I said, I've had some unexpected things happen. So the different people are all calling me about it.
Well, like I said, if you need to take off, that's perfectly fine. We appreciate you spending time with us.
I sure appreciate that too. I thank you for having me on. I think I will, so I can get this stuff taken.
I understand.
care of.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Thank
Mr. MK.
Having MK on the show is always awesome. He's got such a great perspective, and those videos he's got. If you guys will check out his website, the Davis Report, you can see a lot of these videos and a lot of breakdowns of those videos on his website, and that's in the chat now. It's called the davisreport.wordpress.com. Fantastic videos, a lot of breakdowns of the Patterson Gimlin. I think the videos he showed tonight are all over there.
He was impressed with our video, though.
That's true. Eric Testament says, do you think the hair is like the octopus? I don't think it is. I don't think it has chromatophores. I think it's just very much like fiber optics. Doc, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I think it is too. From all this, like the last time Mr. MK was on, and the other shows we've done on their hair shafts and everything with the clear hair shafts. And there was one video, I can't remember where it was from. It was from Florida, when that one steps into the shadows by that tree and literally disappears, and you don't see him again until he moves.
Yeah, we showed that like 2 or 3 times.
That's the adaptive camouflage we talk about so much, and that's what allows them to have that adaptive camouflage. Because, like you said, you look at deer. You know, when we're hunting deer, sometimes they'll be literally right in front of you, 25 yards in front of you, and you don't see them until what? Movement.
Did you watch that video of the doll sheep that Robbie had?
I hadn't seen it. No. I mean,
we'll just show it again then.
Yeah, let me see it, man. Let me put my old man glasses on here and
let me roll that full team footage.
Yeah, okay. I'd like to see that.
Now, Doc, take a look at this and tell me how many sheep you see in it.
How many critters, Doc?
This is from New Zealand. They're doll sheep. DAHL, I believe it's how it's spelled.
2, 3, like 4, maybe.
You ready for this?
Let's get it.
All right, watch this, Doc. Give it a couple seconds. You're going to see a puff of smoke on one of the rocks. I think somebody took a shot and missed.
Holy shit! That's like that video of the snipers, and they're all laying down there, and then all of a sudden they stand up, and you're like, where the hell they come from? That's kind of what you feel like with that.
Right.
Holy crap, man. Yeah, I mean, it's just like we were talking about, the same thing with big cats and everything out here in Colorado. If folks see a big cat, that big cat has seen you way before you saw it, you know, and the only reason you saw it's because it moved.
Right.
I think Lego
to me, that's like that video that Robbie sent me, that one right there. That's, to me, that's the smoking gun for the adaptive camouflage, because they're not in another dimension. They didn't turn invisible. They didn't cloak. They're right there in plain sight until they move.
Yeah, they got that, and like we were talking about those clear hair shafts, that refracts light. And I mean, you know, they've been working with adaptive camouflage. DARPA has for years and years and years, and I've seen some examples of it, and it's impressive. It's like literally the cloak of invisibility, you know.
Right. And
it's insane.
And I'm not saying, again, I'm not claiming to be an expert on anything, folks. I've never tried to put myself forth as any kind of expert in this field. But I think when you look at that video and you look at the Freeman footage that we showed earlier, and we talk about those clear hair shafts, I think it makes a far more compelling and logical explanation to where they go than they can just turn invisible, or they can pop into another dimension. And I'm not going to rule that out. I'm not going to say it's impossible that they can't do that. But Occam's razor definitely says the most logical, the simplest explanation is usually the most logical. And in this case, adaptive camouflage is 100% showing that even animals that aren't known to be, you know, as intelligent as humans can disappear right in front of our eyes.
Yeah, I mean, it's there and it ain't gone, you know.
Right.
It's still there. It's just being still.
Right. Hey, Ken. Ken's in the house.
Yeah, Kent Jr. He said, "Look, you finally showed up. Long day in the Shire, I see." Oh man, mercy day.
Oh, don't feel bad, Doc, because you weren't here Wednesday or Saturday. I took the brunt for you from Ken because he let me have it. He said, "Hey, Doc's not here."
Ken was holding up your end of the stick and giving Robbie a ration of crap. He kept saying, "That's not too big a word for you now, is it, Robbie?"
Well, it was like last night when I read that the newest portion of the book, and I sent that reply back. I was just waiting for Robbie to say, "Damn it, Doc."
Well, if I hadn't been half asleep when I responded, I probably would have. But I responded the only thing I could.
Yeah, you did. You responded this morning. Daniel Hall, yes, sir. I'm feeling much better, thank you. I had an unfortunate episode of GI Jihad that kind of took me out of action. So, as my daddy used to say, I had the backdoor trots.
Great, there's two of them now.
Mrs. Moon says, "DA, where can I buy a wild hunt patch?" Well, right now I don't have them for sale online. We're still working on the end of that, and I don't have a whole lot of them in stock right at the moment. But mostly we have them at conventions. We're going to be I'm probably going to make an appearance at the Gatlinburg Bigfoot Festival. I'm not going to be a guest. I'm not going to have a table or anything, but I might actually have a few patches with me. I am getting a table at the Ozarks Bigfoot Conference here in Missouri, here in Ozark, Missouri, in September. And we have other dates to be announced because there definitely will be more.
And Texas.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, Doc, since you're here, do you want to tell us a little bit about Dark Angel Medical?
He probably don't want to after he's been out there dealing with it for the last 12 hours.
Man.
Tell you what, I'm whooped. All right. So for those of you who are not familiar with Dark Angel Medical, head over to our website at darkangelmedical.com and check out our wide array of medical kits. We have anything from minor trauma first aid to major trauma first aid to mass casualty bags. Not only that, we are a one-stop shop. We offer training in the form of in-person training classes all over the United States. Check your calendar out on our calendar out on our website, the training calendar, and then if you want to get into one of those classes, you can sign up there. We also, if your schedule precludes you for whatever reason, whether it be familial reasons or career reasons or anything like that, or you just don't want to be around people, we also offer our online training as well. And to that end, we also, if you can't even make one of those, your budget doesn't allow you to, we have a YouTube channel with a wide variety of instructional videos as well. Nimza just said, Dark Angel training videos are super helpful, easy to follow. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We try to demystify all the medical stuff because medicine is pretty simple, especially whenever you're waiting on an ambulance to get there. It's just basically stop the bleeding, start to breathe, and treat for shock. And we teach you how to do that kind of stuff. But our medical kits, we've been in business for 13 years now. And thankfully to folks like you and folks around the nation, we've been able to have an impact on people's well-being and their lives. And that's our passion. That's the reason, I've been out in the shop for 12 hours today, 11 hours yesterday, 13 hours a day before that, trying to get these orders out because we're packing birthdays in boxes. And if you use one of our kits to save somebody's life, whether it's yours or someone else's, we will replace what you have used absolutely 100% free of charge. That is called our Kit for Life Guarantee. And I'm very proud to say that as of now, we have 170 confirmed saves that we know of using one of our kits or our products. So that's something that it makes me real proud, and something that I believe that people are taking this stuff to heart, because in this day and age, as uncertain the times we live in, you might be your own first responder. And so get you a med kit, get trained on it, know how to use the stuff that's in there, know how to recognize these situations, and then you can be the difference in somebody's life. So head over to darkangelmedical.com, and don't forget to use cryptid25. That's our coupon code, cryptid25, for 25% off your order. And if you, in the order notes, if you put in Team Odin, we'll actually throw in one of our cool little Team Odin rockers from the Wild Hunt books that DA writes. And if you have an HSA or FSA account, our kits are FSA, HSA account approved as well. So darkangelmedical.com. Daniel Hull, Doc, do you include any natural remedy classes or chart, for example, what certain plants do medical wish? I do not. We talk a little bit about that. There is a great book, and I know DA's reaching for it right now. And it's one I recommend. It's in my recommended reading for those who want to be more self-reliant. It is called The Herbal Medic.
The Lost Ways.
And The Lost Ways are the other books that we have in our recommended reading as well. So The Herbal Medic and The Lost Ways, those have a lot of your naturopathic, homeopathic remedies in there, because I'm a firm believer that if it grows out of the ground, and we suffer from whatever ailments, whatever is growing out of the ground will cure those ailments. So, but yeah, head over to darkangelmedical.com. If y'all have any questions, let me know. And we have a Facebook page, Instagram page as well. So that's all I got for you.
That's all
Awesome.
I got to say about that.
That's all I got to say about that.
Robbie, you want to tell us a little bit about Scallywag?
In the immortal words of Hank Hill, I sell med kits and med kit accessories.
Damn it, Bobby.
Damn it, Bobby, get that tourniquet off your neck. You're scaring Ladybird. So let's talk about Scallywag, Robbie. What you got?
Scallywag Tactical. They make some of the finest cutlery. Like that word, Doc? Cutlery.
Robbie's really digging deep into the vocabulary tonight.
I'm reading the Docsaurus. Scallywag Tactical makes some of the best knives, folders, fixed blades. That's the dew claw that DA's got. All mine are otherwise occupied right now. I got my dew claw on my day pack, my orcas in my work pants, my Jolly Rogers in the blue jeans I had on while I was out in the shop. You're not going to have one of these knives and not love it. Steve got one of the orcas the other day, and he was talking about, he said, that is a great everyday carry knife. And you're not going to find one of these knives that you're not going to have a good place for. They're scalpel sharp and hold an edge longer than anything that I've ever had. I mean, I've had Kershaw, I've had Benchmade, I've had Gerber, I've had all the top brands of knives that you can imagine, and Scallywag is right up there at the very top of the list on some of the best blades you can buy. You can't go buy any of these other blades. And Benchmade, for example, you're going to pay what, Doc, like $200 something for a Benchmade knife?
At least I lost my Benchmade everyday carry pocket knife today, and running out in the hailstorm trying to get the cars into the shop. So I'm a little bit heartbroken, but I do have a backup.
The Mini Jack.
Or, the gunner's mate. This has worked good for open boxes.
Yeah.
And DA's got the bounty. Look at him flexing on us.
Yeah.
Yeah, the great knives, and Craig is a great guy.
Yep, Craig's a real good guy. He'll take care of you. Steve tells the story all the time about, when he first got his knife, not being real knife savvy, and he was prying with it, broke the tip off of it. He sent Craig an email. Craig said, Send it back to me. I'll take care of it. Craig put a new edge on it, took care of it for him. That's the kind of stuff. It's kind of customer service you're gonna get from Doc with the Kits for Life. You're gonna get the same
That's
kind
right.
of customer service with Craig. Go check out the blemish blades. A lot of times it's just the box that's messed up, but go look through the blemish blade section. Pick you a couple knives out. When you go to check out, put code DA Roberts 10 in and get you an extra 10% off that. They do stack up, so it's a pretty good little bonus to your good price that you can get on the blemish blades, or just go get get you another one. I mean, the gunner's mate's still out, I believe, right, Doc? He's still
Yeah, it is, and they're having a blemish blade sale right now. It's got an email from them today.
Yep, I saw that they just started that. That's usually a good time to go when you first get that email. Sign up on the email list, and when you get that email, it's usually some good prices on some good knives in there.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's hailing again. Lovely.
David By asked about the boarding axe.
There she be.
Look how thick this thing is.
Sweet,
Even if it didn't have an edge, you could beat through a wall with just the sheer thickness of this thing.
Oh, it's hailing again. That's awesome.
So yeah, go Scallywag Tactical. Go look on the blemish blades. Go get you another blade. Remember code DA Roberts 10. Get yourself 10% off. We don't get any kind of kickback off this. Is just products that we use and appreciate. You've seen them in a lot of the books. DA puts them in the books for a reason because it's stuff that we all carry. And that's all I got to say about that.
No, Nims, I didn't drop ice cubes. That's hail. We've had a lot of hail today. Big hail.
What the hell?
What the hell?
And our other affiliate is Ken Brock over at brockblades.com. Ken's a great guy. He makes all his blades by hand, custom. I've shown this one before. This is my skein do. I put a little fob on it so I can pull it out quickly.
And this right here, I just like saying the name, is the street weasel.
The street weasel.
The street weasel, yeah. And then this one right here is called the neck scalpel. So it's a neck knife, and it looks like an old scalpel, which is fitting for me. So
very much so. Your video's kind of lagging on you a little bit there, Doc.
Damn, sad
because we're getting held on right now.
But all of Ken's blades are made custom. You can order a template, but they're all made by hand, so no two will be identical. They're absolutely just awesome blades. And I featured one of his called the Ardennes as Will Gray Eagle's knife in the Apex Predator and Codename Wild Hunt books. Big fan of his blades, and it'd be simply because they are just outstanding works of art, and they're rugged as hell. And if you're looking for an ideal gift for somebody in your life that's an outdoorsman or a hunter, a fisherman, law enforcement, military, the gift of a custom-made blade is something that they won't forget. They're absolutely awesome blades. And if you mention that you heard about brockblades.com through us, you'll get 10% off your order.
And if you look on his website and there's nothing on his website that's in stock or anything like that, shoot him an email, tell him what you want. He'll let you know what he's got in stock and, or when the next run of whatever is going to be. So don't be disheartened and don't back out of a sale and support this fella. He's a law enforcement veteran of many years, been there, done that, got the t-shirts, but he'll get you squared away. Okay. So if it's not on the website, then just shoot him an email and say, hey man, I really like this blade. Like I like that skein do, or I like the Ardennes blade, like Gray Eagle uses in the books. And he'll let you know when he's going to be making another batch up, and he will get you squared away.
Definitely. Yeah, and don't forget to mention that you heard about brockblades.com here on the channel, and you'll get a 10% off your order. Trying to catch up on some of the comments.
Ooh.
Seeing if I'm what all I missed.
Yeah, that's some of the hell we had today.
Did you take your glass out and hold it up?
I know. I told Cannon that when we was working. He put his shooting earmuffs on, and I put some earplugs in because it was so loud in the shop. Thank you, Mike A.
Mrs. Sheffield, you can get those books at Dark Angel. No, I got all those on Amazon.
Yeah, go to Amazon.com and get those Lost Ways books and the Herbal Medic books.
Mike A says, DA, have you heard any accounts of dogmen swimming? Do you believe they can swim? Yes, I actually spoke to a fisherman in Paducah, Kentucky that said one tried to swim out to his boat when he rounded a bend. He was fishing near the bank along the shore of LBL, and he started to go back into a little slough, and there was one right on the shore. And then when it saw him, it started out toward his boat. I said, "What'd you do?" He says, "Well, I turned off the trolling motor, fired up the big engine, and got the hell out of there."
That's a good. Robbie, what time is it?
Time to get the hell on up out of here.
He said if he'd have been any closer to shore, it probably would have got to him before he got that big engine fired up. But yeah, I do believe they can swim. Most animals can. Most animals can swim. Dogs and humans can both swim, so there's no reason to think a dogman, which is something between the two, no reason to think why it couldn't swim as well.
That's right.
Boys, I think while again we're not claiming to be any experts in the field, I think we've made a very compelling argument that especially with that doll sheet video and the Freeman footage, that natural adaptive camouflage is a highly likely possibility. I'm not going to say that that's definitively what it is, but my time in law enforcement has led me to be a very evidence-based guy, and to me this just makes the most sense. I think that these things are perfectly adapted to their environment, and this natural adaptive camouflage, just like with the doll sheet video, you could be staring right at one and never see it until it moved. What do you guys think?
Well, you know what I think. I believe that adaptive camouflage is like I can't say 100% sure that it, but my belief is that's what it is.
I agree.
That's my belief, my opinion, but I'm basing it, like you said, on what the evidence has shown us. And I think Doc probably feels about the same way we do. I mean,
yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, it's out there. The evidence is there, and it's when you see stuff like that. I mean, I've said it before. Y'all said it before. If you still remain skeptical, you're just choosing to be willfully ignorant. You really are.
Mrs. Chef Yoda asked where I got my 3 herbal medicine books. I got them all on Amazon. They're all available on Amazon. David Hoyle says, has anyone heard of a mountain lion-sized calico cat? That's a new one on me. Yeah, I've never heard of a calico that big.
me either.
Robbie, you didn't have it either?
No.
I haven't either.
I mean, the biggest house cat I've ever heard of is, I guess, a Maine Coon.
The Maine Coons, yeah.
And that ain't nowhere near that big.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, nowhere near. Well, folks, thank you guys for joining us tonight. I want to say a big shout-out thanks to MK Davis for sharing some time with us and showing his videos and sharing his knowledge. MK is just an absolute awesome source of info when it comes to cryptids in general. and Bigfoot in particular. The man absolutely has studied his craft, especially when it comes to the video analysis of the Freeman film and the Patterson Gimlin. I don't use the word expert lightly, but when it comes to those two films, he's about as close as it gets, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, I really appreciate him spending some time with us and talking about adaptive camouflage and how it works. Between the doll sheep video and the clear hair shafts, I think we've come up with a very good possibility on what this could be. Jack Mac, if you haven't received your stuff that I mailed, let me know. I will go back up and raise hell with the post office. It went out with the same time as everybody else's, so it should have gotten there. Toxic chuckling.
Yeah. Ken just sent me a text. I'll share it with y'all after the show.
Big shout out to the moderators. Thank you guys for doing an awesome job tonight. Our mods are the best. You guys do a fantastic job.
Thank y'all for moderating. We appreciate you.
And again, folks, we check out our affiliates. They're all first responder or veteran-owned companies. And here we're a big supporter of our veteran-owned and first responder-owned companies. And again, said before, I'll jump it in again. If you know a first responder or a veteran, check on them once in a while. Send them a text. Even if it's just the hey, are you okay? Because we lose 22 a day to veteran suicide, and that is way too many. So reach out to your friends and let them know you were thinking about them. It might be what pulls them back from the edge. And be there if somebody needs to talk, or just let them know you are there. Believe me, it'll mean the world to them. I think we covered our topic pretty well. I'm very thrilled with that doll sheet video, because it illustrates it so well. And then of course we watch the Freeman footage where we see the Bigfoot literally stop in front of a tree and disappear, and then as soon as it starts moving, you can see it again. I think that's it's about as close to a smoking gun as I think we're going to get.
Yep.
Short of having one come in and decide to put on a demonstration for us. So I think this is a very good argument for the adaptive camouflage. That's why they're so hard to find. But folks, thank you guys for hanging out with us. Thank you guys for spending time with us. Don't forget to tune in with us this Saturday night, which will be our 200th show. So we'll try to put on a little soiree for y'all. But folks, thank you guys for hanging out with us. It means the world to us. We've always wanted this show to be like a group of folks sitting around a campfire, swapping stories and talking about topics that come to mind. And we hope it always stays that way. And I've said it before, and I'm always going to say it. We don't have fans, we have friends, and we're damn proud to know each and every one of you. And thank you all for being part of the DAX Machina Nation. So from all of us here, thank you for everything. Thank you for the crazy journey that's gotten us to our next episode is the 200th episode. And thank you guys for being part of the family. So we will see you guys on Saturday night, and we will have some surprises for you. So y'all have a great night. Thank you guys for being part of the DAX Machina Nation. Thank you guys so much to the moderators and to the folks over at the Patreon. If you haven't had a chance to check out the Patreon, check it out at patreon.com/DARobertsauthor. You can get advanced screenings of short stories that are not released anywhere else, and you can also help make some of the changes that come to the books. They see part of the book covers. They see a lot of the stuff before anybody else ever does. You can help shape the future of the DA verse at patreon.com/DARobertsauthor. So thank you guys. Thank you guys for being here. And again, we'll see you guys on Saturday night. Good night, everybody.
Night, y'all.
Thank you for joining us. Catch us again Wednesdays and Saturdays on DAX Machina. A special thanks to all our channel members and Patreon supporters. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe.